The galaxy was not kind to the small alien race called the Veyari. They were gentle, small in number, and known for their songs that carried through space with strange energy. But the Galactic Council declared them dangerous, saying their songs could disturb the minds of other species. No trial was held, no defense was allowed. One order was given: leave every star system, never return. The Veyari had no home after that day. Worlds that once welcomed them now closed their gates. Ships that once traded with them now turned their weapons. Every planet broadcast the same cold words: refugees not welcome. Children cried in the silence of cold ships. Their food began to run out. Their oxygen levels dropped. Their leaders tried to comfort them, but in truth, they also felt despair. It seemed the stars themselves had turned their light away. The galaxy looked away as the Veyari drifted. Only whispers moved through the great markets and halls of power. "They are cursed," said one merchant. "They are a danger," said another. "They are nothing," said a council officer. But in the dark, something unexpected appeared. The Veyari ships floated near the edge of an unremarkable sector where no council patrols went. There, silent and massive, hung human ships. They were unknown to many in the galaxy, considered young and untested. Some races laughed at Earth's small colonies and limited fleets. But those who had studied them knew one truth: humans were unpredictable. The Veyari saw the human warship first. It was black against the stars, with sharp lines and strange markings. Panic filled their command deck. "Prepare evasive move," one captain said. "We cannot fight them," another whispered. "Maybe they will finish what the galaxy has started." The warship did not fire. Instead, it turned slowly, its weapons not locked. A human voice echoed across the comm, deep and steady. "You are not alone," it said. The words froze the Veyari in shock. The council had taught them that humans were selfish, rough, and violent. Why would these people speak with kindness? The message came again, translated into the soft tones of the Veyari language. "You are safe now. We see you." Some Veyari wept at the sound. Others argued. "It is a trick," one elder said. "They will capture us," another warned. But a young leader stepped forward, her eyes tired yet full of quiet strength. Her name was Saren. She whispered, "If even one star has not turned its back on us, can we refuse to listen?" The humans sent coordinates, a place where the Veyari could dock their ships, a place with food, water, and air. It was too much to believe. Still, their engines were failing, their children growing weaker. They had no choice. As their ships limped forward, Saren stared at the human vessel on the screen. Its hull shone with strange light. She remembered the words the galaxy had thrown at her people: cursed, dangerous, unwanted. But this new voice had said something no one else had: "You are not alone." Meanwhile, far away in the council chamber, whispers began. Reports came that humans had made contact with the exiled. A cold silence fell among the rulers. "Fools," one counselor hissed. "They risk everything for outcasts," another growled. But the eldest among them only shook his head. "Humans are not fools," he said. "They are dangerous when they choose a side." Back at the edge of space, the Veyari ships slowly approached the human docking bay. Lights guided them in like fireflies leading lost travelers. Children pressed their faces to the glass, watching in awe. For the first time since exile, hope flickered. But with hope came fear. What price would the humans demand? The doors opened. Human figures stood waiting inside, tall and solid, their faces unreadable. Saren held her breath. The humans did not draw weapons. Instead, one stepped forward and extended a hand. "Welcome," he said, his voice calm. It was a word the Veyari had not heard in years. Saren stepped forward, trembling. The galaxy had cast them out, but here, on the edge of the unknown, humanity had opened its arms. Still, deep in her heart, she wondered, was this kindness real, or the beginning of another trap? And far beyond, in the darkness of council space, fleets began to stir. The council would not forgive Earth's defiance. The first seeds of war had already been sown. The docking bay was silent, not the silence of peace, but the heavy silence before a storm. The Veyari ships, weak and trembling, settled into the vast human hangar. Metal doors closed behind them with a deep echo that made every refugee hold their breath. The Veyari expected commands, maybe chains, maybe even death, but nothing came. The humans stood still, their faces unreadable behind clear visors. One man stepped forward, tall and calm. He spoke slowly, so his words carried into every translator system. "You are safe here." The Vayari stared in shock. They had been cursed, rejected, chased from one end of the galaxy to the other, and now someone said they were safe. No council officer had ever said that. No trade ship, no world, only the humans. But safety was a word the Vayari no longer trusted. They whispered among themselves. What do they want from us? Why risk their own lives for outcasts? Humans do nothing without reason. Surin, their young leader, studied the human commander carefully. His eyes were steady but strange. Carrying a fire she could not name, he reached into his belt. The Vayari tensed, expecting a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a small object. Food, sealed in silver wrap. He broke it in half, and he handed the larger piece to her. Surin froze. It was a gesture too simple, too human, but her starving people behind her could not ignore it. She took the food in her trembling hands, and in that moment, something changed. Behind the humans, huge cargo doors opened. Crates of supplies rolled forward. Water tanks, blankets, medicines. The Vayari children gasped, their eyes wide. For the first time since exile, the smell of fresh fruit and bread filled the air. Tears fell quietly across alien faces, yet not all felt relief. An elder whispered, "This is no gift. It is bait. The trap will close. You will see." But Surin remembered the cold silence of every other world, and she thought, if this is a trap, then it is the gentlest trap we have ever known. Far above, human officers watched from the command deck. They saw the thin, broken ships of the refugees. They saw children too weak to stand, and one officer muttered, "The council called these people dangerous." Another shook his head. "Dangerous to pride, maybe," he said, "but not to us." The human commander gave a quiet order. "Send word to Earth. Tell them we have guests." The message flashed through the stars, and across the void, satellites and stations carried the news. Humanity had taken the outcasts in. In the council chambers, fury erupted. "They dare defy us," shouted one voice. "Earth will pay for this insult," cried another. But the eldest counselor raised a hand. His voice was calm and cold. "You speak as if humans are fools, but remember, their history is war. When others surrendered, they stood, and now they stand again. Do not think this will end quickly." Back on the human station, Surin tried to rest. Her people ate, drank, and whispered songs once more. But in her heart, she knew peace was only a shadow. The galaxy would not forgive. And if the humans truly meant to protect them, then they had just made enemies of an empire. The next morning, Surin was called to the human command deck. She walked slowly, her small frame lost among tall human soldiers. The commander stood by the window, looking out. At the stars, when she entered, he turned and spoke quietly. "My name is Captain Reyes." His eyes narrowed. "The council will come. They will not forgive this, but Earth does not bow." Surin's breath caught. He was not asking if she wanted protection. He was declaring it. She realized then that humans were not like the other races. They did not weigh profit and loss. They made choices with fire in their blood. For the first time, she believed his words. "You are safe here." But safe did not mean peace. Outside the station, human warships moved into position. Engines hummed, weapons charged, not in anger, but in readiness. Every soldier knew the council would test them soon, and every soldier was waiting. The Vayari had been rejected by the galaxy, but now they had found a shield with teeth, and somewhere in the endless dark, fleets of the council were already on the move. The storm had not yet begun, but everyone could feel it. Even the stars seemed to whisper. War was coming. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The council declared the Vayari exiled, cursed, unwanted, yet now humans had taken them in, given them food, water, and a place to breathe. Every world whispered the same question. Why would Earth risk everything for the outcasts? On the human station, the Vayari felt a mix of fear and gratitude. Children laughed for the first time in months. Songs returned to their throats, soft and trembling, but in the eyes of their elders, worry still lived. The galaxy never forgave defiance. The council would come. Surin stood beside Captain Reyes on the wide observation deck. Below them, The hangars buzzed with activity. Human engineers repaired the broken Vayari ships. Medical staff treated the sick. Everywhere Saren looked, she saw humanity acting without hesitation. She finally asked the question she had carried in her heart. Why do this, Captain? Why risk your people for us? Reyes looked at her, his jaw tight. He spoke slowly, his voice heavy. Because once, like you, when Earth first reached the stars, we were ignored, mocked, even threatened. We were told we were too young, too reckless, too dangerous, but we survived. We never forget what it means to be cast aside. His words struck Saren like lightning. She realized then that humanity's kindness was not weakness, it was memory. Deep, burning, unbroken. But far away, the council debated in shadows. Humans have crossed the line, hissed one counselor. They spit in our face, snarled another. Ships were already being armed, fleets prepared. The council planned not only to punish the Vayari, but to teach humanity fear. Still, not every race agreed. On some worlds, ordinary people whispered, if humans protect the outcasts, maybe they will protect us too. Old debts and buried grudges against the council began to stir. The galaxy was watching, and Earth was becoming something new in their eyes. Not just a colony world, but a symbol. On the station, Saren walked among her people. She heard their songs echo softly through the halls, songs of sorrow mixed with new hope. The humans listened quietly, some even smiled. But one soldier muttered, if the council hears this, they'll come faster. And he was right. That night, alarms blared across the station. A council probe ship had been spotted on the edge of the system. It was small, fast, and carried recording devices. The humans tracked it with sharp precision. Captain Reyes gave a single order. Do not let it escape. A silent hunt began. Human interceptors flew like shadows. They cut the probe's engines and pulled it into custody. When they opened its data core, they found transmissions already prepared. Proof that the Vayari were alive. Proof that humans had defied the council. If even one signal reached back, the council's fleets would come. Reyes slammed his fist on the console. They know now, we don't have much time. Saren's heart froze. Her people had brought danger to Earth. She looked at the commander and whispered, we should leave. We cannot let your people suffer for us. Reyes turned sharply, his eyes burning. You don't understand. This is no longer only about you, it is about us too. The council thinks they can decide who is worthy to live and who is not. We say no. We will not step aside. This is humanity's choice. The word spread through the station like fire. Humans stood taller, soldiers checked weapons, engineers worked faster. The refugees looked on with a mix of awe and fear. They had expected betrayal. Instead, they saw defiance, but deep in space, far beyond the edge of human sensors, massive fleets already moved, thousands of ships carrying the banners of the council, and in the heart of that armada, a single order echoed, destroy the humans, erase the Vayari, make the galaxy fear again. Back on the human station, Serene listened to her people's songs. They no longer sounded like mourning, they sounded like a storm rising, and she wondered, when the council arrived, would humanity truly stand, or would they reveal a darkness even greater than the council's? The choice had been made, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble at its weight. The stars had gone quiet, too quiet. On the edge of human space, sensors picked up strange distortions, not attacks, not fleets, just echoes. Every officer knew what it meant. The council was moving, the storm was building. Inside the human station, tension spread like fire. Soldiers sharpened their blades, checked rifles, ran drills without pause. Pilots sat in their cockpits, helmets resting on their knees, waiting for the call. But what unsettled them most was not the thought of battle, it was the silence. The council had not declared war, not yet. They were watching, waiting, preparing to strike when the time was right. The Vayari felt this silence too. Their songs grew sharp, haunted. Children clung to their parents, asking questions. As no parent could answer, will the humans fight for us? Will they die because of us? Saren walked the human corridors. Everywhere she looked, she saw faces hard with resolve. Not a single human spoke of surrender. They spoke only of defense, of standing their ground. It confused her. Every other race she knew would have bargained, bent the knee, begged for peace. But humanity, Humanity sharpened its swords. Captain Reyes stood in the war room with his officers. A massive holographic map displayed the growing shadow of Council fleets. "They're circling us," an officer said. "Like wolves testing the edges," another muttered. Reyes said nothing. Then he turned to his crew. "We are not prey," he said, "and Earth does not bow." The word spread like fire through the station. Whispers became chants. Chants became steel in the hearts of soldiers. The Veyari heard these whispers too. For the first time, hope mixed with their fear. But in the council chambers, dark voices planned. "They think themselves strong. We will remind them of their place." Fleets were ordered forward, weapons charged, but still the council did not reveal itself. They wanted humanity to break first, to live under the shadow of fear. One night, Saren stood on the viewing deck. The stars stretched endless before her, and in the distance she saw faint lights moving, too many to count. Her chest tightened. Those lights were not stars, they were ships. The armada was coming. She ran to Captain Reyes, her voice trembling. "They are here, you must run, please, you must save your people." Reyes turned, his eyes hard as stone. "Run," he repeated, his voice sharp. "Humans don't run. Not when the council believes fear will break us." Saren shook her head. "You don't understand. You cannot win. Their fleets are endless. They have crushed empires far greater than yours." Reyes leaned closer, his voice a whisper that carried more weight than a shout. "Then let them try. The galaxy thinks humanity is weak. They forget our history. They forget that we were born in struggle. Every empire that thought us easy prey has learned the same truth. Humans fight until nothing is left, and we do not fight alone anymore." His eyes met hers. It was then Saren understood. The humans were not preparing to survive. They were preparing to make the council bleed. Still, the silence grew heavier. The council armada did not strike immediately. They waited, building fear. Rumors spread across every world. Earth will fall in a day. No one can stop the council. Humanity will be erased. But in dark corners of the galaxy, new whispers began. If humanity can resist, maybe we can too. Maybe the council is not invincible. The seed of rebellion was being planted. On the human station, the final preparations were made. Shields strengthened. Hidden weapons activated. Every corridor echoed with determination. The refugees watched with awe as the humans moved like a single heartbeat. Ready, steady, unshaken. And then, the silence broke. Sensors screamed alarms. Thousands of signatures lit up the void. The council armada had arrived. Their ships blotted out the stars. The sky itself seemed to darken under their shadow. Inside the station, every human and every refugee felt the air grow heavy. The council was here. The war was about to begin. The stars burned red that night. Not from suns, not from nebulae, but from the glow of thousands of council warships. They filled the void like a storm of steel, blotting out light itself. Every screen on the human station showed the same sight, an endless wall of death moving forward. Children hid behind their mothers. Veyari elders whispered songs of mourning. Even hardened human soldiers felt the weight of fear pressing against their hearts. The council armada was larger than anything humanity had ever faced. This was not a fleet, it was a declaration. They had come not to fight, but to erase. Alarms screamed across the station. Pilots rushed to their ships. Engineers ran through corridors fixing last systems. The whole station vibrated with tension. Every man and woman knew the truth. Tonight, humanity's fate would be decided. Captain Reyes stood on the command deck, his face calm but his eyes blazing. The hollow map displayed the enemy formation, thousands of dots pressing closer and closer. His officers waited for his order. Finally, he spoke. "They think we are prey. They think we will bow. Show them humanity does not break." The human fleet moved out. Dozens of warships slid into formation, their hulls black against the stars. Compared to the council's armada, they looked small, fragile. But there was a sharpness to their movements, a predator's grace. The council's first broadcast came. A towering alien with cold eyes filled the screen. "Humans," he said, "you defy the will of the galaxy. Hand over the exiles, and we may let you crawl away with your world intact. Refuse, and Earth will burn." Silence filled the deck. Every officer turned to Captain Reyes. He stepped forward, his voice cutting like steel. Earth does not kneel. If you want them, you'll have to take them from our dead hands. The council commander hissed with fury. Then die with your pets. The transmission cut and the void erupted in fire. Missiles streaked through space. Beams of energy carved the dark. Human ships shook under the first wave, but they did not fall. Instead, they moved in ways the council had never seen, breaking formations, weaving through enemy lines, turning weakness into ambush. The Vayari watched in awe from the station windows. Where they expected humans to scatter, they saw them strike. Small ships darted like knives, larger vessels unleashed weapons hidden deep in their cores, and for the first time in centuries, council ships explode, in flames. Still, the enemy was overwhelming. Every human victory was answered with 10 more council strikes. The station shuddered as impacts rattled its shields. Saren clutched the railing. The battlefield froze. Every ship, human and council alike, stared at the colossal shadow that had entered the system. It was not just a warship, it was a fortress in the void, so large that moons would have looked small beside it. Its surface glowed with strange light, symbols burned into its hull, and its weapons thrummed with energy that shook space itself. On the human command deck, officers whispered in disbelief. That's no council design. No records of such a ship exist. Captain Reyes narrowed his eyes. It doesn't matter who built it, it matters whose side it's on. The giant vessel moved slowly, like a predator circling prey. Council ships pulled back, confused. The humans held their fire. The Vayari stared in terror, their songs trembled in their throats. One elder whispered, "It is the council's final weapon." But Saren shook her head. "No, it is older, much older." Suddenly, a voice cut across every frequency, deep, metallic, and cold. "All who wage war here will fall." A beam of raw energy erupted from the fortress ship. It cut through 3 council battleships in one instant, their hulls melted like paper in fire. Explosions rippled across the void. Gasps filled the human station. If the fortress turned on them, Earth's fleet would be ashes in moments. But the fortress did not strike the humans. Its second blast carved through more council cruisers. Dozens of their ships broke apart. The armada wavered, its perfect formation collapsing. On the council flagship, panic turned to fury. "The humans have awoken an ancient weapon," shouted one officer. "They have betrayed the balance." But their commander's face grew pale. "No," he whispered. "This is not human technology. This is something far worse." Back on the human deck, Reyes turned to his officers. "Record everything. This ship is no ally, but it just gave us a chance." He gave the order. "Ada, up now." Human warships surged forward, their weapons cut into the disorganized council lines. Pulse cannons cracked, gravity lances tore through shields. For the first time in history, the council's armada was forced to retreat. Ships scattered, trying to reform, but every time they closed ranks, another blast from the fortress shattered them again. The Vayari watched with wide eyes. They had expected humanity to die protecting them. Instead, they saw humans fight like predators, using fear as a weapon, using chaos as cover. And behind them, an unknown monster of metal kept striking. But Saren's heart did not rest. She looked at the fortress and whispered, "If it destroys the council today, what will it want tomorrow? Will it turn its eyes on Earth or on us?" As the battle raged, the station shook with sudden impact. An enemy boarding craft had slipped through the chaos. Council soldiers stormed the halls. Blasters roared. Alarms screamed. Human marines rushed to intercept. For the Vayari, the war was no longer outside. It was inside their only refuge. Saren grabbed a fallen weapon. Her hands trembled, but her eyes burned. She would not watch her people be slaughtered again. Side by side with human soldiers, she raised the gun. For the first time, she fought. Meanwhile, above the battlefield, the fortress ship began to change. Its lights dimmed, then flared brighter than suns. Strange signals rippled across every frequency. Human systems flickered. Council sensors died. It was not just firing, it was awakening. On the human deck, Captain Reyes clenched his fists. "This is the true turning point," he said quietly. "If that ship awakens fully, nothing in this galaxy will stop it." The council was bleeding, humanity was holding, but the fortress was rising. and no one knew if it was savior or doom. The galaxy held its breath. The battlefield burned. Council flew. Eds scattered. Humanity stood bloodied but unbroken, and above them all, the fortress ship awakened fully. Its lights blazed like a new star. Its voice thundered across every channel. All who claim dominion shall kneel or be erased. The Council armada faltered. Panic spread through their ranks. Ships broke formation, some retreating, some fighting blindly. For the first time in centuries, the Council tasted fear. On the human station, alarms blared. Council boarders still fought in the halls. Saren and human marines battled side by side. Her voice rang out as she fired. For every child you cast into the void, we stand. For every world you silenced, we rise. The Vayari, once fragile, now fought with fire in their eyes. Their songs carried through the station, strange vibrations that shook the enemy's will. Captain Reyes stood on the command deck. He watched the chaos with eyes like steel. He knew the truth. The fortress was not ally, not enemy. It was something older, a power beyond the Council, beyond Earth. And if it was not stopped, it would judge them all. Target its power core, Reyes ordered. Officers froze. Sir, it's helping us. Without it, we may fall. Reyes' voice cut through their fear. If we let it rise unchecked, the galaxy will belong to no one. Not to the Council, not to Earth, not to freedom. It must end here. Human ships broke formation. Instead of pressing the Council, they turned their fire on the fortress. The galaxy gasped as humanity attacked the very weapon that had given them victory. The fortress roared in anger. Its cannons lit the void. 3 human ships vanished in fire, but the rest pressed forward. Pulse cannons hammered its shields. Gravity lances tore at its hull. The Council, stunned by humanity's audacity, hesitated. Some cheered, others fled. For the first time, they saw a force willing to defy not just the Council, but any power that threatened freedom. Inside the station, Saren fought through smoke and blood. She heard the sunset sin, a thunder of battle outside. She felt the vibration of the fortress shaking under fire, and she sang, a song of defiance, of survival. The Vayari joined her, their voices rising in harmony. The sound carried into human comms, and for a moment, it felt as if 2 peoples beat with one heart. The fortress began to crack. Its lights flickered, its voice faltered. You dare defy. Its final beam lanced out. A human cruiser exploded, but Reyes's flagship plunged forward. He gave the last command, all power to the core, for Earth, for freedom. The flagship slammed its weapons into the fortress's heart. The void lit brighter than 1,000 suns. For one breathless moment, the galaxy thought everything would end. Then silence. When the light faded, the fortress was gone. Only drifting fragments remained. The Council fleets fled into the dark, broken, humiliated, and humanity still stood on the station. Survivors wept. Humans and Vayari side by side. They had not only lived, they had won, but their victory was more than battle. It was a choice. Captain Reyes looked across the ruined battlefield. We showed them, he said quietly. We showed the Council, and every world watching, that humanity does not bow, that we fight for those cast aside, and that no tyrant, no empire, no ancient weapon will decide our fate. Saren stepped forward, her voice soft but clear. Then today, we are no longer exiles, we are allies. Her people bowed their heads, not in submission, but in respect, and the humans returned the gesture. In that moment, an alliance was born. Not of politics, not of power, but of choice. The galaxy trembled at the news. Worlds whispered of hope. Some saw rebellion, others saw salvation, and everywhere one truth spread like fire. The Council had struck, but humanity had answered, and nothing would ever be the same again.